For more on this story now, I am joined by Robert Inez in our Saskatoon studio. He is an Indigenous Studies professor over at the University of Saskatchewan. Robert, we just heard from a lawyer who says that many of the posts we saw in this Colten Boushie story met the legal test for hate speech. So what's your reaction that there won't be legal consequences for some of those comments and posts that we saw last summer?
Well, I think it's kind of surprising and not surprising at the same time. It's surprising in that the kinds of comments that were made were clearly advocating for killing Indigenous people, celebrating the death of one, and hoping that they had, killed the others that were there. And it just seems surprising in that the RCMP hasn't really doesn't really say why it's not pursuing this case. I would think that the RCMP should be able to explain exactly what is hate speech and why these comments don't fit the hate speech crime. But at the same time, it's not surprising because in the way in which the RCMP has really handled the case right from the start, from the initial news release to the way in which when they were bringing him in, Stanley, to the court, they had men on the roof looking like snipers. They brought in Stanley from a different entrance, and in the vehicle, what happened to the vehicle. And so it just seems like the way they have been handling this case is, and the way in which they're not pursuing refusing to pursue these charges with these individuals is also not surprising. It kind of fits in with the kind of perception I think that's out there, and the way in which the RCMP is really dealing with this.
Why do you think they have handled it the way that they have?
Right. So, and I think that when we think about the context in which the comments were made on Facebook, it wasn't just an individual, a random post. This was sort of like a mob mentality that really served to intimidate Indigenous people in the province. And it's really, I'm not really sure why, considering that the court case is coming up soon, that the RCMP wouldn't want to send a message that these kinds of comments and these kinds of attitudes in this province shouldn't be tolerated.
How do you think we could better address online racism? Is there a way to keep people in check? The internet can be a difficult place to police.
It certainly can, and I think when you have a group such as the ones where these comments were made, and when you have the Premier even saying, watch out, if you make these comments, you could be charged with hate crime or hate speech, and then the RCMP not doing that, really, there really is no deterrent for these kinds of crimes. It's really sending the message that these kinds of comments are fall, from the RCMP's perspective, falls within the realms of free speech, and really you are free to express yourself in this manner. And I think that the RCMP should be answering questions about why they're not charging.
Thanks so much for your time today, Robert. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.